Okay guys, so for this recipe you will need almonds, 1 cup of butter, 1 cup of sugar, semi-sweet chocolate chips, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla. This will make some delicious toffee, folks, and it's so simple to make, okay? Now, my first tip is to please use a heavy-duty saucepan. This is definitely not for your like flimsy pots and pans. You want something heavy duty or you're going to end up with some burnt toffee, okay? So my first tip is to use a heavy duty saucepan. And also, my second tip is that you want to heat up that saucepan prior to you adding the butter and the sugar. Don't put it in a cold saucepan. Let it warm up a little bit prior to you adding it, okay? And so I'm just adding the butter and the sugar. And the great thing about this recipe is that the majority of these ingredients you will probably already have at home. You may not have chocolate chips and almonds, but that is pretty simple to pick up, okay? And as that butter is starting to melt, I am just going to start stirring. Now you will be stirring quite a bit with this recipe. It is definitely not one that you can put on and walk away from for a few reasons. One, because stirring it is what makes the best toffee. And then two, it gets very hot, you guys. We're talking like 300 degrees, and you don't want to leave that unattended, especially if you have pets and small children. So after it starts to melt down, I'm going to add that 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla, okay? And a wooden spoon works perfectly with this recipe, you guys. Obviously, if you use plastic or anything like that, it is definitely going to melt, friends. So don't use that. Get yourself a good plastic spoon or spatula. And as you can see, guys, it starts to bubble. This is what you want. This is what you want. This is the beginning of some great English toffee, okay? Now, many people will use a candy thermometer with this recipe. I have never used a candy thermometer, and it turns out perfectly every time. So here's another tip, you guys. Get a couple of cubes of ice and drop some of that mixture, some of that liquid on top of the ice. Wait a minute or so for it to cool down. And then, guys, if it hardens, you are close to being done. If it is still sticky and chewy, you're not done yet, okay? So that is the only thermometer that I use. I use the ice test, and the ice test it works for me, you guys. It has been true every single time. And so as you can see, it's getting a little darker now. This is getting close, you guys. So of course I use my ice test all over again. And this time it starts to solidify a little bit more. Now, for my toffee, I like a softer crunch. I don't like it like rock hard. I like it to be, it has a crunch to it, but I don't like it to be super dense. So it starts to solidify. So that's letting you guys know I'm just about ready. The color, the consistency of it, it lets you know. Now, I was so excited about this toffee, you guys, that I did not get any footage of me actually pouring it. And all I'm using here is a cookie sheet and a piece of parchment paper. And I basically just poured out that mixture. You guys, you have to pour it so fast because literally you have minutes before you go from perfect toffee to burnt toffee. Okay, so that's probably why I didn't turn on the camera. So once I poured it out, I topped it with chocolate chips, and then I waited about 5 minutes to give those chocolate chips time to start melting. And guys, I just started spreading it like icing on a cake. That's all you do. Because that toffee is so hot, you guys, that it melts those chocolate chips right away. Then you want to top it with your almonds. If you are not an almond fan, maybe you like pecans. Maybe you like walnuts. Whatever you like, it will still taste perfect for this recipe. I go for the almonds because that's just what I've always done. I love how the almonds taste on top of the English toffee. But you do you, boo. You do whatever you like, okay? Now, I cannot stress enough that, guys, this mixture is so very hot. This is not a recipe you want to make with small children. If you have animals and different things like that, hopefully they're not in the kitchen with you anyway. But if they are, you want to keep them away from this because it gets so very hot and it can be very dangerous. So guys, this is how it turned out. Oh my goodness. It's perfect. It's like the most delicious English toffee you have ever had. If you love Heath bars and things like that, that is what this is going to put you in the mindset of. It's so perfect. All I did was, after I spreaded the chocolate, I refrigerated it for about an hour. Now, toffee does not like extreme temperatures, you guys, so do not put it in the freezer. You want to give yourself an hour to let it sit. Then I just broke it up randomly like you would do a peanut brittle or something like that. And guys, it turned out absolutely perfect. It really did. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Guys, it's a perfect gift for a neighbor, a teacher, anyone who loves homemade gifts. If you are new here, I'm Felicia, and I would love for you to stay and subscribe for my Ride or Die FeMarie family. Hey y'all, hey! And thank you guys so much for tuning in every time I post a video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.